Oh yeah, you're watching the Sideman Show. This is your host, Bear. We got a great show for you today. Don't want you to get up and leave or anything, so make sure you already went to the bathroom. Sit down, watch a great show, and learn something. Boy, it's going to be fun today. Here we go. Welcome to the Sideman Show, Mr. Ned. Good to see you again. Been a while. So, how was that barbecue?
Does every guest get the barbecue?
No, you're special. I made that for the Boise crew.
Oh, wow. I'll never be the same.
Well, I think, that may become a custom, though, because I got up at 6 this morning. I got to bed at 2, and my wife said, God, are you going to be able to get up at 6? I said, it's pork butt, honey. It has to be cooked. So I got up at 6, started the fire, man. I use all, Royal Oak. I don't use there's never going to be any of that lighter fluid crap on my grill.
Right.
I'm a purist. So
I don't know much about barbecue, but all I know is that was,
I'm learning.
I've never had pork that just sort of like disintegrated on its way into my mouth.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But I didn't bring you here to talk about pork. Although that's a subject for another show. But so what have you been doing? Tell me what's going on with the Nedster.
Wow, I've been moving around a lot, since I've moved from the West Coast down here to the South Coast.
Yeah.
And I'm liking the change. It's sort of a big deal for me because I was born in Nashville and I've come back after a number of years, I've always wanted to come back and explore my roots here.
Were your parents from the South?
No, my parents went to college in Nashville. My dad ran the night school program at Vanderbilt.
Wow.
And my mom went to Peabody.
Oh, man.
And so me and my older brother were born here. And
are they Vandal fans still?
No, they're Bronco fans,
are
actually.
They? Yeah. Okay, well.
Not much talk about Vandy too much around the house anymore. Yeah.
Well, we both been to Ireland a lot. And have you been to those cathedrals? Did you go to St. Anne's Cathedral by chance in Belfast?
No, I haven't. I haven't done the cathedral. I've done cathedrals in Liverpool. The Liverpool Anglican Church is the biggest church in Europe, and it's staggering in size. But I know I haven't been to St. Anne's.
It's unreal how they built that. When you look at what they built, and they didn't have anything, like we have now, cranes or anything. Still got it done, and they're amazing. I think the ceiling's 100 feet or something like that. It's crazy high.
I went to Salisbury Cathedral, which is near Stonehenge in England, and it took them 700 years to build the cathedral, to complete it. They actually started at one point and had to move it for some reason. So they moved what they had started, which took 50 years, and then kept on building for.
And that's some perseverance right there.
Yeah.
That's some people with a cause. That's kind of like they were the Eric Johnson of stone building, Sorry, Eric. But you are a sloth in the studio. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Guitars, yeah.
7 years to make that album or whatever it was.
Yep, that's perfectionism. That's certainly.
Yeah. I haven't seen Eric in a while. Boy, great tone.
Great. The only tour I've done with Eric was very interesting. It was an acoustic tour. And not only was it an acoustic tour, half of the set was on piano.
Really?
So for each venue, he would have a grand piano loaded in and tuned, which took forever.
Oh, yeah.
So nobody was getting a sound check. And then he would be up there playing. He's an amazing piano player. He did a cover of The Wind Cries Mary in sort of a gospel, sort of 6/8 style. And as he's doing this, it's just great. And of course, there's some guy on his cell phone. Close up Dover! Close up Dover! Listen to this.
It could only be worse if it Freebird,
It's Eric Johnson's Freebird.
Yeah, it is.
Close up Dover! So that was a great tour, though. He's a really sweet guy, and he took a little time to check out the resonator guitar, which I had just gotten, as a matter of fact, the fretless red. As I call it, the Glow Bro.
The Glow Bro.
Man,
do you blind people like in the first 6 rows?
It's for real. Absolutely. It's free LASIK eye surgery.
Do you ever just pick somebody out in the crowd that you might hate and just decide to blind them?
Or yeah.
If
it's a girl, which isn't very often.
Does that really get them going there, Ned? Do you have to blind them?
Yeah. Waffle House Blues.
So, on the music business end of things, how do you kind of focus your thing? Because what we were talking about was how old we are, which I said I wouldn't ask, but I did it again. On Tuesdays, records would come out, and I would go to Kmart, or Kmart was usually the store because my mom would go to Kmart, and I would get lost in the records because I like to look at the back of the records and read all the info. I knew everybody produced everything, and it's one of those kids. Do you see it like I do, where it's returning back to the singles? Remember how you buy 45s?
Oh, sure, yeah, I had a pretty big 45 collection. Oh, it totally is. iTunes is, we're back to that whole thing again. And I was thinking as I was getting ready for my new record, I chose more songs, and I chose songs that sort of like stand on their own. Yeah. As opposed to maybe writing something more thematic or concept or thinking less about the actual album, because the reality is it's just going to get carved up and people listen to their iPods in shuffle mode. And I personally have been able to let go of the whole album concept thing pretty easily, I guess. I don't know.
So each song kind of stands on its own and has its own little world about it, right?
Yeah, more like that, approaching it more like that.
Because that's kind of the big deal here in Nashville, at least, is to release singles. Now they're cutting, they don't do album deals anymore. It's like, let's cut 3 singles and we'll put one out, and if it sticks, then we'll put the next one out, and if it doesn't, we'll shelve the rest.
Yes, that's crazy.
For years, people were doing albums and they would get shelved. They do full albums, and you'd never hear them, and then they were tied up in these stupid contracts, and the bands would just kind of self implode because if you can't work, and you have nothing to sell. The record deal, I never really thought record deals were a good thing anyway, for the most part, just because of the instant debt.
Sure.
You just,
at best it's research money that you can do to, at worst it's a welfare system. And in Los Angeles, my time I spent living in LA there, I met people that they would just go from one band to another. The band would get an advance, and they would live off that advance for a couple of years, record a record that got shelved that nobody would ever hear, and they would just move on to the next thing. And these guys have been doing this for 10, 15 years. And I met producers kind of fit the same sort of, profile, and like a sort of like a welfare state. I thought it was really, really crazy.
Well, yeah, that's in LA is a whole different animal too. I mean, that's we're going to have a lot of guests on. I got Ross Hogarth coming on, who's produced some major big records out there, and it's a whole different mindset. Nashville's kind of laid back, and nobody does anything real fast here. It's kind of just it runs on Nashville time. So, have you liked the switch from West Coast to being here?
Yeah, I have liked it. I'm okay with it.
Are you here much, Ned? Are you?
Oh, my story is interesting. I was living on the West Coast for years and years and years, and then in October I got an opening spot on Joe Satriani's most recent world tour, and I did that for 3 months. And at the conclusion of that tour, I moved back here. So I've been in the Nashville area for 4 or 5 months now. Working on a new record.
And let's talk about that for a minute, because you're working with Adrian Belew. What's that like?
It's just like working with Jimi Hendrix for me. It's working with the guy that I first saw play, and also write songs and sing as well. I should mention that he's always been like one of my favorite singers as well.
How does he? I asked him this when I met him up in Indiana. I said, "How in the hell do you sing and play those lines? Playing the freakiest guitar lines in all these weird time signatures."
Yep. Yeah,
he's one of my heroes too, and not just because of what he plays, but I really liked him as a person. He's a real nice guy. That
seems to be a sort of a thing in Nashville. It's nice. People seem to be nice, and he fits that category. He's run a studio at his house for almost 20 years.
Yeah,
and has done the Jars of Clay record was done there. He's done gold records there, and it's just been an ongoing enterprise. Studios have to be alive. Music has to be being made in them all the time. And if a studio is sits inactive for a very while, it really just kind of like, what's its purpose?
Yeah.
And it takes a while for it to get rolling again once you get started.
There is an energy that comes with that. The ones that are really busy, there's something cool about them. Even RCA, Studio B, where Elvis recorded and everything down the road.
Do they maintain those as like a tourist thing now?
Yeah, well, I think actually they're teaching kids to run sound in there now, which I think is really cool. I mean, cool. What a great use for that.
Yeah. Well, I know Adrian's studio just immediately had that same kind of vibe. It's like, okay, music actually gets made here. And so we just kind of stepped into that environment and got down to business, I guess.
Did you have a moment with Adrian, though, where you looked and went, oh, my God, I'm playing with Adrian?
I've had several.
Because I'm having them now just sitting next to Ned, because Ned's played with Adrian,
I met him on tour in November when I was on the Satriani tour. We played with his power trio in Milan, in Italy. And, he walked up to me after a sound check and said, hey, I know you. I play fretless guitar too.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, I totally stole it. And we just hit it off because he's a really, really relaxed guy, really funny guy. A lot of energy, likes the road. So, we just hung out. And when I got done at the tour, approached him about working on the record and sort of went from there.
That's how all the best deals are made,
Sure.
It's not through the manager calling your people and all that, that crap. It's always, hey, you want to do a record?
It's funny because a lot of people sort of assume the record is going to be very experimental and this and that. And it's not the reason that I wanted to make an album with Adrian, is because I know that Adrian is able to separate avant-garde experimental stuff from pop songwriting. And that is a very unique skill set. And it's what he's been able to do with me is respect and augment my songwriting, which is, classic Dylan, Beatles, inspired stuff, I suppose. And Richard Thompson is a huge influence on me for songwriting. And combine it with my strange, guitar fetish, playing the fretless guitar. So he got both things immediately, and it was a huge deal for me.
Well, I remember when I first met you, and we talked about this earlier. We have a mutual friend, Amos Galpin, that had a studio for years in Sun Valley, Idaho. Yeah. And Steve Miller did Italian X-Rays there. That studio, Peter Cetera recorded there. And, I walked in one day because I'd actually been playing soccer with Peter Cetera and Amos. They asked me to be a goalie. Probably because I filled with the whole goal thing, it's like if you just leave him in front of it, he's big enough to kick the ball, because I couldn't run or anything, And Amos had invited me over to the studio to hear you, and I remember meeting you that day and was watching you play, and I thought, man, that looks like I could do that, because I was watching Ned do his thing, and then Ned, well, here, try it. In about 30 seconds of that, I handed it back to us. Here, you play it. You make it look so freaking easy, and I know it isn't. I know, because I think I can play fairly well, and I can't do anything on that thing.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, my goal always is, I've always liked the sound. I just like the sound of the two lines, one line going up, one line going down. What you can do is like, with the sliding fingers, playing slide with your fingers, I've always liked the way that it feels and the way that it sounds. So that just keeps you coming back for more. It's just like a rat wanting pellets. I want more pellets.
But how many hours have you got wrapped up in?
Oh, years now. Years. And again, it is one of those disciplines that if you're not doing it all the time, it rapidly just sort of recedes, and you have to always be pushing it. Which is great, because this new record, working with Adrian, I really dug in and did some new things that I have never tried on the fretless. Honestly, one of the things that I've been trying is turning the fretless guitar into a type of slide guitar, using delta tunings, using some more of that sort of inflection. I had always resisted that because it just seemed to be too obvious. Like, oh yeah, it's like a slide guitar with your fingers. I don't want to go there. So I've always tried to do things that are apart from that. But my songwriting has been getting progressively more blues-oriented and roots-oriented over the years. And eventually I just said, dove right in. And it's been great.
Fingerprints.
Well, a lot of music. I think a lot of music goes unheard by the masses, but I think that's what we're losing as a culture is who is the biggest band at the moment.
Yeah.
And that hierarchy, and I don't know if that's bad. You know what I mean? It's like Teddy Thompson, Richard Thompson's kid. You know, very few people have heard of Richard Thompson, let alone his kid.
Yeah.
But he's making great records. People are getting back to vinyl. People are still exploring the album as a concept. It's just that what probably will not happen as much is where you have a big changing of the guard,
right?
Like the Seattle scene or Athens, Georgia, because the top is just being lowered down. You're no longer getting the bands at the top echelon who are getting massive promotion or being made massively famous. I mean, Beyonce, for God's sake, had a #1 record for selling 126,000 copies in 1 week. I think the Dreamgirls soundtrack.
Right.
You know, the #1 record in America is not nearly what it used to be.
I know. I think that the sales are so far down. There was an article I read. I posted it actually on Facebook about 3-4 weeks ago, where it said that Sony and they were the #1 mover that week, had moved 46,000 units.
Physical units.
Yeah. How do you keep a company open selling 46,000 units? I mean, there's bands that are selling more than that.
On their own?
Yeah, on their own out there doing it. Yeah.
That's my take on it. Is, it's like Reckless Kelly, those guys, those kids,
well.
Look at those guys. I mean,
they've been doing it a long time. I love those guys.
Yeah, and they get as they move along in their careers, they get to the point where they don't really need a label to like.
Muzzy taught them boys well. He really
very
did.
well. Yeah. Yeah, he used to come into Sun Valley.
Yeah, he sure did. Muzzy's a character.
Yeah, sure. Pinto Bennett.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pinto's great.
I kind of grew up on the outskirts of that scene in Boise because those guys used to all play, and I would observe, the country thing going down, the cowboy thing going down. And I learned a lot of those licks, but I never really, played too much with them. But
I saw Fred over at Audio Lab right before I left. They were doing a Pinto Bennett record. It was sure good to see him. And we have a mutual friend there, Steve Fulton, who I dearly love. I've known Steve, for many, many years. I know you have too.
Yeah, the new studio is beautiful.
Oh, man, isn't that something? The art gallery, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're in Boise, Idaho, you got to check them out. Well, listen, we're about out of time. You come back and do a house concert?
Anytime. Seriously. Now that I'm a Middle Tennessee resident, I'll come back. I'll play this place anytime.
I'm going to cook you some different kind of barbecue next time. We'll try some brisket.
Okay.
We'll just keep changing it up.
That's going to be a lot of house
for
concerts.
Barbecue. And ladies and gentlemen, we are with Ned Evett. Obviously, I'll have this all posted up on the site. You can go to Ned's site and check him out. And we're going to take you out by listening to some of his music. And we'll be back again tomorrow with a new show. And Ned, thanks for coming again.
Thanks, man.
I really appreciate it. And you got to come back for more barbecue.
I'll be here.
All right, buddy. Take care, everyone out there. Thanks for listening.
winter time blue.